Hello everyone, I am Dipshika from Bodhi Academy. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to learn about the what happens to the food when it enters into the different parts of the digestive tract. Okay, in last video we have seen until the esophagus, correct? So from today in today's video we will start from the stomach onwards. Okay, so let's see what happens to the stomach when food enters into the stomach. Okay, so this stomach, that is a thick walled bag. Okay, it the shape of the stomach is like J shaped. Okay, J, and that is the widest part of the alimentary canal. What the stomach does, it receives the food from the esophagus and it opens out into the small intestine. Okay, which is the next part of the digestive tract, that is after the stomach. Okay, and the inner lining of the stomach that produces, mucus, digestive juices, and the hydrochloric acid. Okay, what does this mucus do? The mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach. Okay, it protects the inner lining of the stomach. Then what acid does? Acid that kills the bacteria that enter through the food. Okay, and it maintains the acidic medium into the stomach. And then digestive juices, what they do, they break down the proteins into the simpler substances. Similarly, the function was with the saliva. What saliva do? Saliva breaks down the starch into sugar. So here the digestive juices in the stomach, they break down the proteins into the simpler substances. So please do not get confused. Okay, then after the stomach, the next part, that is the small intestine. So what happens, this small intestine, that is very highly coiled. Okay, it is the length of the small intestine is 7.5 meter. Okay, that receives the secretion from both the liver as well as from the pancreas, but also it itself secretes some of the juices. Okay, then what is the liver? Okay, here we said now it's receives secretion from the liver and the pancreas. So liver is a reddish brown gland. It's not a part, it's not a organ, it's a gland. Okay, that is situated in the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. Okay, so let's see if it is there in this. So this is the liver. This is a brown color gland which is situated here on the upper part of the abdomen on the right side. Okay, this is the right, this is the left side. So on the right side, this is a gland. Okay, liver is a gland. And one more important thing, that liver is the largest gland in our body. Okay, yeah, it is the largest gland in the body. It secretes it secretes bile juice. Okay, that is stored in a sac called the gallbladder. The bile plays an important role in the digestion of the fats. So see here, this is a liver. Okay, this brown gland, and this is called as gallbladder. So what liver does? Liver produces a juice which is called as bile juice. Okay, which is stored into the gallbladder. And what does this bile juice do? It digests the fats. Yes, so the pancreas, next is the pancreas, that is a large cream colored gland. Okay, that is located just below the stomach. And the pancreatic the pancreas also secretes some juices. Okay, that acts on the carbohydrates, fats and proteins and changes them into the simpler forms. Okay, let's see the pancreas over here. This is the pancreas. This is this entire thing is the pancreas. Okay, it secreted some of those juices. It is below the stomach, just below the stomach it is. Okay, okay, then the partly digested food now. Okay, the stomach, the food does not get completely digested into the stomach, it gets partially digested. Okay, that reaches into the lower part of the small intestine, where the intestinal juice what intestine, you know, they also secrete some of the juices. What they do, they complete the digestion. Okay, small intestine will partially digest the food. The juices which are secreted by the small intestine, they will complete this digestion process, and the carbohydrates, they get broken into the simpler sugars. Okay, the carbohydrate that we take in the form of rice or anything, okay, that gets broken down into simple sugars. They are such as glucose, fats into fatty acids and glycerol, and proteins into amino acids. Okay, which is done with the help of the juices which are secreted by the small intestine. Then the absorption in the small intestine. Okay, now we'll see how the absorption takes place in the small intestine, the food absorption, the broken down components, how they are absorbed. Okay, so the digested food that can pass into the blood vessels, okay, in the wall of intestine. Now this is the digested food. Okay, the components of the foods has been absorbed. Now these components and the digested food that can be pass into the blood vessels into the wall of the intestine, and that process is called as absorption. So the inner wall of the small intestine, they have thousands of finger like projections which are called as villi. Okay, singularly they are called as villas. Okay, can you guess what the role of villi could be in the intestine? Yeah, so what it will do, what it does, the function of the villi, that it increases the surface area for absorption of the digested food. Okay, they are present on the surface of the intestine, right? So they, what they do, they increase the surface area for the absorption of the food. Each villus has a network of thin and small blood vessels that is close to its surface. Okay, they have a network of this small thin blood vessels. Okay, the surface of the villi absorbs the digested food material. The absorbed substances are transported via the blood cells to different organs of the body. Okay, and where they are used to build complex substances, and this process is called as assimilations. Okay, what happens in the cells? In the cells, glucose get breakdowns into with the help of oxygen, breaks down with the help of oxygen into carbon dioxide and water. So this is a reciprocal of photosynthesis. What happens in the photosynthesis process in the plants? With the help of the carbon dioxide and oxygen, with the help of water or the sunlight, it forms the glucose. Correct, here glucose get breakdown, and that releases a particular form of energy which is required for the normal maintenance of the living organism. Then next, after the small intestine, is the large intestine. So what happens? This large intestine, that is wider than the small intestine, and it is shorter, the length is short. Okay, it is about 1.5 meter in length, whereas the small intestine was 7.5 meter in length. Okay, so what is the function of the large intestine? It absorbs some of the salts and water from the undigested food material. What happens in the small intestine? The components, the digested food, that is absorbed. Okay, once it is absorbed by the small intestine, by the villi, then what happens? The undigested food which is there, it is passed down into the large intestine. Okay, so what is the function of the large intestine? What large intestine has to do, that it absorbs the salts and the water which is available in that undigested food. Okay, whatever it can take, it will take. Okay, and the remaining of the waste, that will pass into the rectum, and that remains in the semi-solid phases. Okay, and the fecal matter is removed through the anus. Okay, the whatever the undigested thing is there, that is remain in the that is passed into the rectum. Okay, that remains in there as a semi-solid phases. Okay, and then it is removed through the body with the help of a anus. Okay, and that process is called as egestion. Remember, taking food inside the body is called as ingestion. Removing the food from the body, that is called as egestion. Don't get confused in this. Okay, now the digestion in grass eating animals. So have you observed any times cows or buffaloes, what they do? When they sit, they do some chewing. The they continuously chew something. What they do, actually, these cows, buffaloes, they immediately, when they were grazing, when they are grazing, that time they immediately swallow this grass, okay. And whenever, they what they do, they swallow the grass and store in the part of the stomach that is called as the rumen, okay. And then in that, the food gets partially digested, and that partially digested food, that is called as the curd, okay. So later on, what happens, this curd that returns the mouth, okay, and in small lumps it comes into the mouth, returns, okay. And the animal, they start chewing it, and that process is called as rumination, okay. The process of that returning back of the curd into the mouth, uh, and chewing it again by the cow, that process is called as rumination. And that animals, they those type of animals which undergo the process of ruminations, they are called as ruminants. Understood? So the grass, that is rich in cellulose, correct, that is a type of carbohydrate. So what happens, ruminants, like cattle, deer, etc., that bacteria present, there is a bacteria which is present in the rumen, okay, that helps in the digestion of the cellulose, okay. Okay, in the rumen, there remains a bacteria, that bacteria helps in the digestion of this cellulose. Many animals, that is including us, we cannot digest cellulose. That's why we boil the vegetables and then we eat. And doctor always suggests, to eat the boiled vegetables and not the raw ones. That is because we don't have that much capacity to digest the cellulose, okay. But they have, that is because of that bacteria. So animals like horse, rabbit, etc., they have a very, large sac like structure which is called as cecum, okay, that is between the esophagus and the small intestine, okay. The cellulose of the food is digested here by the action of certain bacteria which are not present in the humans. They have those bacteria, that's why the digestion of the cellulose can be easy for them. So far you have learned about animals, correct, which have digestive system. But there are also, very small organisms which do not have a mouth to take up the food or to chew, okay. And they do not have a proper digestive system like us, like proper organs and everything. So how they digest, or how they acquire food, okay, that we'll see. So that is one example is given of such kind of, organism, that is amoeba, okay. What is this amoeba? It's a microscopic, that you cannot see with the help of your eye, that directly you cannot see. You can see this organism under the microscope, okay. That time only you can see. So it's a very microscopic, it's a single cell organism. It is made up of only one cell. And we humans, animals, all are multicellular, correct. It is a single cell. So you can imagine how microscopic it is. It is found in pond water, okay. What amoeba has, it has this cell membrane. This is the cell membrane, okay. And it also has a darkly stained here nucleus, okay. This is the nucleus. And it consists of many, bubble like vacuoles which are called as food vacuoles, okay. And there is one speciality of this amoeba, that it constantly, changes its position and shape. It, what it does, it pushes out its more is like finger like projection, okay, that is called as pseudopodia. See here, this, like this, finger like projection, it pushes out, they are called as pseudopodia. What does this mean? Pseudo means false and podia means feet, so it's like false feet like, okay. What is the function of the pseudopodia? For the movement and to capture the food. So what happens, if suppose there is a food over here now, this amoeba, what will do, it don't have hands or mouth, right, to take up the food. So it will pushes out its finger like projection, which is called as pseudopodia, around the, that particular food particle. It will cover it completely, and then the amoeba will engulf it. Okay, so like this it will have its food, and the food becomes trapped inside the food vacuole. So now the what happens, once it takes the food, digestive juices are secreted into the food vacuole. Okay, and the food will get digested, and the digested substances will get absorbed. Okay, for the growth, for the maintenance and multiplication of the organisms. And the undigested residue of this food, in the case of amoeba, they are expelled out by the vacuole only. Okay, because it don't have those proper digestive system like us. Okay, so the undigested food, that is expelled out through vacuole only. So understood? In today's chapter what we did, we studied what is called as stomach. Okay, then the small intestine, the juices it secreted, about the liver and the pancreas also, what is gallbladder, then absorption, how it takes place in case of small intestine, then about large intestine we have seen, and digestion in the animals which are called as ruminants, that also we have seen. Correct? Okay, one more thing, that diarrhea, which is called as something. So what is that? That is a that the it is a process wherein once have to pass watery like stool frequently. That is the case where you call it as diarrhea, and it is not normal mechanism. Okay, it may be caused, it's a particular like of condition wherein it can cause due to infection, food poisoning or indigestion. Okay, it is very common in India, especially in among the children, and it is it can lead into fatal. Okay, so if one is suffering from those this diarrhea, then have to consult doctor on time. Even before consulting the doctor, one should be given with a plenty of boiled and cooled water. Okay, with a pinch of salt and sugar dissolved in it, and this water is called as oral rehydration solution, which is we call as ORS. This is very important to know. Okay, and one more thing is there, one story is there, that is about the stomach, working of stomach. I told you, right, what it does, it takes food from the small esophagus, then it opens into the small intestine, then it has hydrochloric acid, mucus and digestive juices. Correct? So how it, who did this, who did the finding of this? Then there is one story which is given here, that is the working of the stomach, that was discovered by a strange accident. Okay, it was just by a strange accident. In 1822, a man named Alexis Saint Martin, he was shot by a gun. The bullet had seriously damaged the chest wall and made hole in his stomach. Okay, then he was brought to an American army doctor, that is William Beaumont. The doctor saved the patient, but he could not close the hole properly. He saved him, but he could not close his hole properly. So left it bandaged only. But Beaumont took this as great opportunities to study what is happen inside the stomach through that particular hole. He made a wonderful observations, and he presented his data that stomach was churning the food. He observed everything. Okay, its wall secrete a fluid which could digest the food. He also observed that the end of the stomach that opens into the intestine only after the digestion of the food inside the stomach is completed. Everything he observed. Understood? Okay, thank you for watching my video. Okay, if you like the video, then please like it. Okay, do share with your friends and do subscribe the channel. Thank you so much.